Hello, I'm Kendra with the Vigo County Public Library, and today I'll be showing you how to make these adorable cupcakes that look like little dogs. Let's start by going over our supplies. You will need some white icing. This can be ready-made or homemade. Some piping bags along with couplers like this. A number 12 piping tip, a number 234 piping tip, and a number 103 piping tip. You will also need some food coloring and chocolate chips. If you registered for a kit, all of those materials will be included. What you'll need to supply on your own is an offset spatula like this or a butter knife, a spatula or spoon, several bowls, and of course, some plain cupcakes. Let's go ahead and get started. The first cupcake we're going to make is our golden retriever. To make our golden retriever, we first need to make some yellow icing. To do that, grab a good dollop of white icing and just put it into a bowl. Oops. If you make a little bit of a mess, that's fine. Now add some yellow food coloring. Start with just a drop or two at a time because food coloring can be pretty strong and you can always put more in, you just can't take it out once it's in. And give it a good mix. You're probably going to need to add more food coloring, but you can really just add as much as you want. If you want it to be a super vibrant golden retriever, or if you want it to be more of a pastel color, either one is fine. I need to add a bit more color. It's a little too pale for me. You can't really overmix your icing, which is good, so just give it a good strong mix. You don't need to be delicate with it. You do want to make sure that you have a uniform color and that you don't have any streaks. I'm pretty happy with that. Once you are happy with your color, go ahead and grab a piping bag. Before you put your icing in, make sure that you put your coupler in your piping bag. To do that, all you have to do is take the coupler and just put it into the end of the bag. Then put your piping tip of choice on. This is our 103. This is what we're going to use for our golden retriever today. Stick it over the end and then thread the final part of your coupler on top. From there, you can go ahead and fill your piping bag. To fill your piping bag, I like to fold it over in half. If you have a tall glass or a jar, you can also put your piping bag in that and it makes it a little bit easier. Grab about all your icing if you can, and carefully just put it into your piping bag. It's not gonna get all the way down to the bottom, but that's okay. We can squeeze it down here in a second. So once you have it in, just start gently pushing the icing towards the bottom of the bag and try and squeeze out any excess air without making all of your icing explode out of the bottom. Once you have your icing in your bag, we can go ahead and start decorating our cupcake. To decorate our golden retriever, it's pretty easy. We're just going to put down a layer of icing all across the top and then smooth that out with a butter knife or an offset spatula. This is my offset spatula. I really like it, but like I said, a butter knife will work just fine. So you just want to smooth out the rough edges. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Getting a cupcake perfectly smooth is kind of tricky, at least for me. So mostly smooth is what we're going for here. Once you have that as smooth as you can, grab your piping bag again, and we're going to pipe out 2 ears. So to do that, we're going to start at the top and then just make kind of a triangle shape and fill that in with icing. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. It's okay if your ears don't match perfectly. but just try and get them close. Then take your spatula or knife again and just gently smooth out some of the bumps. You don't want to smooth it so that it's perfectly flat. You still want it to stand above the rest of the cupcake, but you just want to get rid of some of those lines. Finally, we're going to switch out piping tips. So you're going to carefully unscrew, take off the 103, and grab the number 12 piping tip. Stick that on top, screw it in again. Then we're just going to pipe a little dot in the center for our nose. And finish off with some chocolate chip eyes. My eyes are going to be kind of in the ears, but that's okay. And a chocolate chip nose on that dot that we just piped. And there is our golden retriever. The next cupcake we're going to make is a poodle. To make our poodle, it's also very easy. We have our number 12 piping tip on our bag with white icing. All we're gonna do, similar to the golden retriever, is pipe on some of this icing and then smooth it out with our spatula or knife. Again, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfectly smooth, so don't stress out about that. And then once you have it as smooth as you can get it, all we're gonna do is just pipe on some little dots across the top and in the shape of 2 ears. Your dots might want to connect, but that is okay. Poodles have nice, big, fluffy, curly coats, so having some interconnected dots is just fine. Just makes it look fluffier. And then we're going to pipe our nose on again with 1 big dot in the middle. And again, add our chocolate chips for the nose and the eyes. If you have red sprinkles, you can even put on a little bow. If you have any sort of pink candy, you could tuck it in under the nose and make it look like its little tongue is sticking out. And there's our poodle. Our third cupcake is a Labradoodle. So cute. For our last 2 cupcakes, our Labradoodle and our Pomeranian, we need to mix together some brown colored icing. To do that, we're gonna take what's left of our white icing and mix in our blue food coloring, red food coloring, and yellow food coloring. When you first mix it, it's going to look like a weird gray color. Trust the process, keep adding your colors, it'll turn out fine, I promise. So we're going to start with a drop of each. And again, you can always add more food coloring, but you can't take it out. So be a little bit more conservative with your food coloring drops when you start. See what I mean about a weird gray color? Some more blue to darken it up a little bit. and along with that, a little bit more yellow. Some red. And let's go ahead and add a little bit more yellow to this. Not a ton. Again, we're just being careful with our colors. At this point, I'm probably just going to switch back and forth between adding red and yellow to try and make this color a little bit more deep and rich and warm. I'm not going to worry about adding any more blue. And see where I have color streaks going there? That's why we want to make sure that we mix this really well so that all of that color incorporates and we don't end up with streaks in our icing. All right, I'm pretty happy with how that turns out. But if you want it to be darker, you can keep adding some red. Just make sure you balance it out. To make our Labradoodle, we are just using one tip. We're going to use our 234 tip with our light brown icing that we just mixed up. So for this tip has a lot of really tiny holes on it. So all we're gonna do is just dot that all around the cupcake. You can do it however you want. You can do it in circles, you can do it in lines, you can do it in no order whatsoever. We want to keep as much texture on our dots as we can. We don't want these to look smooth because Labradoodles have a lot of curls in their fur and we want that to show through in our icing. If you have any blank spots that are showing through, you can just go back over and pipe those. So I've got some around here on the edge, so I'm just going to try and touch those up as best I can. Once you have that first layer done, we're going to pipe out some ears. Again, just rough triangle shapes on top of the rest of our icing. If you don't think it's standing up quite enough from the rest of the icing, you can add a couple more dots. Then for our nose, we're not going to switch tips or anything. We're just going to hold it down to make one bigger dot. And then again, add our chocolate chips for our eyes and our nose. And that is our Labradoodle. Our last cupcake is my favorite one. It is our little Pomeranian. For our final cupcake, our Pomeranian, we're going to go back and forth between two colors and use all of our piping tips. So we're going to start with our 234 piping tip on our brown icing again. And this time, instead of piping little dots, we are going to pipe long strands. So we're going to start from about the middle and go up to the top. Until about the halfway mark. And if your strands go over the end of your cupcake, that's totally fine. You can even add a couple more to try and get it to go over the edge of your cupcake if you want. All right. From there, we're going to switch to our white bag. but keeping our 234 tip. We have our 234 tip on our white icing. You do want to make sure that you rinse this tip out before you switch over bags, otherwise the brown icing that's still in it will bleed through onto the white and it just won't look quite as nice. We're going to do the exact same thing that we just did. So just pipe some long strands of fur. My Pomeranian might be suffering from some mats, but that's okay. Once you're done with that, we're going to switch over to our number 12 tip on our white icing to pipe on our nose. So again, just one large dot right in the middle. Finally, we're almost done, I promise. We're gonna put our number 103 tip back on the brown to pipe the ears. And we're going to pipe the ears just by piping on some little zigzags. There we go. And then again, a nice chocolate chip right in the center of our white dot for our nose, and some chocolate chip eyes. And there is our Pomeranian. Thank you for joining me in decorating these adorable little cupcakes. I hope you had a good time and continue to practice your decorating skills. I'll see you next time. Bye.